Hi guys, it's Sam, and as you can tell, I am by myself today. Well, technically not by myself because I have Duran filming for me. Today, this is going to be a part of the series that we're going to be releasing, which is our end of the year series, and I am in charge of the top 10 albums of 2016. So, before I ramble on, I'm just going to get right into my list, and guys, this list was probably one of the hardest things I've done this year, and I was in school and I had really hard finals, but this honestly, like, I was getting a migraine making this list, and I had to stop and like go away from it for a while because I was getting so hyped up over it. The same with what Duran's gonna do. I'm gonna have my honorable mentions at the end of my video of all the albums that didn't make it to my top 10 list that I really wanted to add to my list, but it was just I couldn't fit it on there, and it was really hard. It was incredibly hard, and I literally just love these albums all the same. And this year was just such an amazing year of comebacks and albums, so it was very intense. It was nerve-wracking. It was just so very hard. So these are my top 10 albums. They're all my opinion, all what I think they're my top 10 albums. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. Number 10, I chose Monsta X's The Clan Part 2. So the track list for this album has 6 tracks. Okay, so my favorite song off this album was probably what I found myself listening to like the most, probably Be Quiet. So this album as a whole was probably one of my favorite Monsta X albums because I recently got into Monsta X. Like, Duran got me into Monsta X. Like, I knew about them, but the more I got into them, the more I loved their albums. Like, their albums were just so good. They're just one of those people, like those groups that just had an amazing discography, and all their albums just really stood out to me, and I ended up buying all of them. So this album was definitely in my top 10 for that reason, because this comeback was probably one of like their best, because The Fighter, honestly, great title track. And that title track just made this album all the better. Number 9. Whew. Okay, this was like a decision I really had to make, but I really thought about it, and I had to decide that yes, this was going to be on my list. And that is August D. Now, August D was a mixtape by Suga, Min Yoongi from BTS, and honestly, he was teasing his mixtape for the longest time, and when he finally released it, it was trending. Like, literally some artists in America know about it because it was trending, and they were like, oh, what is this? So, like, you know, you'd see tweets from people, you're like, oh Jesus, like, you know, they know about this mixtape. Like, it was straight fire. Like, oh god, I can't even talk about how amazing it was. This album has 8 tracks on it. And these tracks were probably, these tracks were just amazing. I'll have to say, my favorite track off this album was Tony Montana. I was so upset he didn't perform his mixtape at all at the end of the year, like, shows, because, you know, Suga was hurt for half of them. And yeah, I mean, I wish he could have performed these live. I think it would have been amazing. And that whole mixtape as a whole with all those tracks, honestly, it's what made it my my number 9 on my list, because it's something I've listened to from the day it came out till right now. It's something I listen to like every day, at least 1 or 2 of the tracks, because this mixtape was probably the best I've seen in like a really long time. He worked hard on it, he took a long time on it, and it just came out amazing. Number 8 is B.A.P's NOIR. Okay, so B.A.P's NOIR was definitely one of those albums where, you know, B.A.P was gone for a while. They were putting out music, but it just wasn't up to the level. Me personally, it was not up to the level as like First Sensibility, like, which is like probably one of the best albums they've ever released. And when they finally came back with NOIR, I remember listening to like the teasers for it and thinking, holy crap, like, this might be the next First Sensibility. And it turns out, it came out, I listened to it, I was right. This album is probably one of the best they've released, because there is not one track on that album that is like subpar to everything else. Everything is just so on point, everything is just so amazing. I can't. This album had 10 tracks. And making it a full album, say what my favorite track was, which is like Pray / Confession. Like I've seen like 3 titles for this song. I don't know which one it is, but I just say it's Pray. So that song is the first one I listened to off this album right away. And yes, B.A.P, you've done it again with another amazing album this year. I wish Jungkook could have been with you guys when promoting this. And all I can say is wish him the best. I wish him better mental health, because I know it's really important as an idol to have good mental health. And yeah, that's all I can say is I wish you the best, and I hope to see you come back with the group again and come out with another amazing album like Burst of Visibility and NOIR. Number 7, and this one is EXO-CBX Hey Mama. Okay. We did an album review on this, me and Duran. You can go check that out. It was that album. I can't even put into words how much it blew my mind as it being a subunit of like a group. You know, usually a subunit, they'll come out, yeah, the songs are good. The songs are, you know, they're good. I love the album, but for some reason, this, I almost didn't think of it as a subunit. I just thought of it as its own separate group. You know, it's like I didn't even think about the other members. I was just like these 3 members with these songs. And I honestly, all I can say is EXO, they did it again. EXO released an EXO-CBX. That decision was probably the best they've made this year, honestly. And they not only came out with just an amazing album, but just an amazing concept. They just picked really good members that just work really well together, that just vibe really good together. And because of that vibe, these songs just came out so good. This album just came out so good. And like I said, not gonna go super into this album because like I said, we have an album review where we go in super in depth about each song, what we think about it, the lyrics, so on. So go check that out if you want to know more about how we think about this album. And this album obviously has 5 tracks. Just Cherish. It's, like I said, it's my favorite. I love it. Check it out. Like I said before, Lost My Damn Mind. Watch our album review. Honestly, really hard not to put it in my top 5, but well, I really had to think about it, and I just had to put it at number 7. Number 6. Now number 6, whew, this was hard. It was a toss-up between number 6 and number 5. They were switching all the time. Number 6, I ended up putting MAMAMOO's Melting. Now, it was really hard for me to choose between MAMAMOO's Melting and Memory. It was really hard for me to choose because those are both just probably the best albums they've released, honestly. And I really thought about it. I really went through both, and I really just realized in the end that Melting, for some reason, just stood out to me a little more. So, Melting, whew, okay, this album was probably, like I said, one of their best. And this album had 12 tracks, making it a full album, a really nicely done full album, I will say again. My hometown, Duran really got me into this song. Like, it's a really amazing song, and it has a really cute music video if you guys want to check it out. MAMAMOO's Melting got me into MAMAMOO. Honestly, MAMAMOO's like probably one of my top 5 like girl groups. Honestly, I can't get over just how vocally amazing they are. They have a voice that's just so unique, each of them, and it's just, I can't. MAMAMOO, I feel like they're almost underrated in some areas. Like, I feel like they could just be so much more popular, honestly. And all I can wish for them is the best. I hope to see another comeback from them this upcoming year, because I just want to see what they could do next, honestly, because like this year they had such an amazing album with Memory, which sadly didn't make it in my top 10, but is in my honorable mentions. So like I said, look forward to the end of the video for all of those. But yeah, MAMAMOO never disappoints. They never disappoint with an album, they never disappoint with their concepts, their title tracks, nothing. We are coming to the top 5, guys. We are in our top 5. Number 5 being Lay's Lose Control album. Okay, I know some people are just like, you know, probably thinking, oh, you're just chose that because like he's your ultimate bias. It's just like, no. It's like, that album honestly was so good. Like, it exceeded my expectations for him. Like, you know, I thought, oh, you know, it's gonna be songs that I've heard him do before, but he just hasn't really finished, you know, that type of stuff. But this album, I could tell he just put his heart and his soul into this album. And as him being like one of my ults. Like honestly, like I was just so proud of this album. I listened to it constantly when it came out. I bought that album so quick because I was just so excited about it. Also check out our Lose Control reaction. We also did that too. Lost our damn minds. Ooh, if you guys wanted to see us like revert to our primal states, go watch those 2 reactions, because we do. Honestly, it turned out to be like one of my favorite tracks off the album is Relax, and I adore Relax. And you know, EXO talked about how this album, he wanted it to be something that had kind of like a mix of everything, and you know, everything, you know, had its own meaning. Everything he wanted. He even said, like, he did like a V live, I think, where he was talking about how he's talking about each track and about how what situations like he thinks that you could listen to when you're, you know, listen to them in. And you know, I really enjoyed that. Listened to his advice. Turned out he was right. And yeah, this album, there's a reason it made it to my number 5. Not just because he's my ult, but because he is incredibly talented and incredibly amazing. And you really need to listen to this album. Number 4. Okay, number 4 was SHINee's One of One. This album honestly was probably, again, one of the best they've released, because they went off on this album. They went for it, and trust me, like, that album honestly blew my mind, as SHINee being like my number 1 group. Honestly, like, I can't say enough about this album. It had 9 tracks on it, making it, yeah, it was a full album. It was a full album. And honestly, like I said, they were going very 90s in this. Turned out very 90s. I loved it. Concept art, just everything about it was amazing. Track 3 being Feel Good, my favorite song off this album. My favorite. I listen to it constantly. My favorite track. This whole album was definitely probably one of the best that SHINee's released, and I really feel like it should have gotten more exposure than it did this year, because I feel like it almost didn't. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like they didn't get that much attention for it. I don't know why, because like I said, this is like probably one of the best albums they've released, and it just kind of disappointed me how it didn't shoot off as I really wanted it to. 3, like my top 3 most listened, my favorite albums of this year. 3 is BTS Wings. You probably hear us say this a lot, and if you don't, when we think of when we say like EXO's Exodus, they're being their like probably one of the best albums in K-pop. I feel like when a group comes out with an album and it's probably their best, we call it like their Exodus, like something that just, when you think of a group, you think of that album. And for BTS, I feel like this was it for them. This album is what literally put them on the map. Like, this is what really shot them to the top this year. This was like, I will say, like, this was BTS's year, honestly. And the Wings album, probably, honestly, the best album they've released, like, ever. And I can honestly not say enough about this album, because this album, it blew my mind. Like, I'm not just saying that, like, oh yeah, like, it blew my mind. Like, no, it blew my mind. Like, I can't say enough how put together this album was, how each track was just formulated perfectly, and like how even the order of these tracks was perfect. And as you know, each member got their own solo track, which I feel like is just such an amazing concept, such an amazing idea to, like, you know, show forth like each member's like talent. And the fact that when we saw all of their talents on this album, I can't say enough about it, because this album honestly just, it blew my mind. And we did a reaction / first listen to this album on our channel. Go check it out. It's the first album / first listen we ever did on this channel, and it was so fun. It was just, this album just blew our minds. There are 15 tracks for this album, making it obviously a full album, and probably one of the best full albums, honestly. And then the last track, Interlude Wings, like I said, probably one of my favorite tracks off the album. Amazing way to end this album. This album had amazing openings and endings to it. It just, like I said, there's a reason that this track is number 3 for me. Number 2 on my list, and that is Taemin's Press It. Taemin's Press It album, he has had a previous album before, as we know, is Ace, and that amazing debut solo album, amazing. But when he came back with Press It, main title track is a track by Bruno Mars originally, and they bought it from him and they turned it into something of their own, and you know, it turned out to be probably one of Taemin's best songs that he's released as like a solo artist. And honestly, this album, it blew my mind, which is why it's number 2 on my top 10 albums, because this album, I listen to this constantly, every single day. I'm talking up until now, and like it, oh God, I can't even put into words how hard he worked on this, and it just shows through this album, honestly. 10 tracks on this album, making it a full album. Track number 6 is One by One. This is probably one of my favorite tracks off the album, honestly. One by One, just that guitar in the beginning, amazing. I feel like for this showed his maturity, this album. This album was just very mature for him. He just showed his maturity through this album, how much he's grown throughout the years. And yeah, this song definitely was one of them that showed his maturity. When Taemin was announced to have a solo track, or just be a solo artist in general, I was just like, oh my God, like, what is he gonna do for this? Because he's mostly known for his dancing. His vocals have been getting so amazing over the years. So I was so excited just to hear him and his pure talent just come out in these solo albums. And when he came out with Ace, like I said, amazing. I listened to that album for the longest time. It was one of my favorite albums when it came out. And then Press It was just on a totally different level from Ace. Like, it was just, like I said, so much more mature, so much more him. It was Taemin. It was Taemin, and that's all I can say. And now, last but certainly not least, number 1 on my list, one of my favorite albums of this year, was Exact by EXO. I'm not just saying this as a crazy ass XOL who, you know, I'm just saying this because, you know, they're probably one of my old groups. But no, like, this album was so different from any other album they've released in their career so far. They just completely did a totally different sound. You know, when it comes to groups who want to do different sounds with their albums, it's risky. Because, you know, you don't know if they would fit with this concept, with this sound or not. But this album, for some reason, like, EXO, they just went off on it. They really did. Because it was just a totally different sound for them. And everything that was on that album was a bop. It was just such a good mixture of songs, such a good mixture of lyrics, and just, I honestly can't with it. Track number 7, One and Only. Holy crap. Okay. One and Only, I was shook when I heard this song. Like, I was completely shook. I did not expect this song to come out. I did not expect for them to do a song like this, but I was so amazed. I was so just in shock of how amazing the song was, and it definitely was in my top 3 of this album. All I can say is for this album is it's not, you know, it's not an Exodus, obviously, because I feel like they still haven't come out with a track that has just beaten Exodus, like, to the floor. But this album was definitely a new sound for them, like I said before, but it's a new sound that they completely dominated. Like, it's definitely one of those sounds where, like, okay, check off the list of sounds, the type of, you know, genre that EXO can do, and they just check this off their list. So many groups dominated this year. You know, this year was both a very good year and a very bad year for K-pop. It was definitely a mix of both of those. Very good being, there was just some amazing comebacks this year, amazing debuts this year. But then there was also, you know, the disbanding of a lot of older amazing groups, and, you know, the start of a lot of really unnecessary fan wars. You know, it's just, it was definitely a yin and yang year. It's just like, K-pop, it's music. You're supposed to enjoy it. You're not supposed to feel stressed out about it. Because trust me, I just feel stressed seeing half the shit I see on Twitter and stuff. But all I can think about is, you know, I love my boys, I love my girls, I love all my groups that I'm, you know, that I'm into. And that's all I can do. That's all I can do to support them, is to buy their albums, you know, go to their concerts. Just focus on that. And just focus on making friends, because, you know, I've made some amazing friends through K-pop. Ignore the negativity that's going around right now and just focus on the positive side, because, you know, like I said, it's just music at the end of the day, and music's supposed to make you feel better, you know? It's not supposed to make you sad or stressed out. And, you know, that's all I could say, because like I said, this year was definitely just a crazy year for K-pop. It was a little insane. And all I can hope for in this upcoming year is for it to get better, for, you know, newer K-pop fans just to see how amazing K-pop is, and how, you know, to discover a new culture, to discover, you know, a new, you know, culture of music, and just open their minds and their hearts to, you know, to K-pop and what it entails. Before I get even more savvy about it, I'm just gonna, you know, start wrapping this up. You know, the next videos you're gonna be seeing are probably gonna be into the new year, so happy New Year's, guys. And, you know, I hope everyone has a really good new year. And, you know, comment down below, like, what was your favorite album this year? You know, what were some of your guys' favorite albums this year? Because I know there was just so many amazing ones, and it was just really hard to put them into a top 10. So right now I'm going to insert my honorable mentions, you know, albums that just didn't make it to my top 10, even though I just wanted them all to be in my top 10. But, you know, I had to choose. So I will show that to you now. So those were my honorable mentions. Like I said, guys, really hard not putting them in my top 10, but I had to do what I had to do. So yeah, like I said, comment down below favorite album of the year, how you felt K-pop was this year. Are you new to K-pop? Are you a veteran to K-pop? You know, just talk with each other down below. You know, we also respond, so let's just have a nice conversation. Follow me on Twitter. I am @TheTrash. All the links will be down below. You know, come talk with me, Jerron, and Jordan on Twitter, because we're always on there. We're always talking about K-pop. You know, just come talk to us. And look forward to any future videos that are coming out. We've got some planned. So yeah, all I can say is Happy New Year. Let's just have another great year of K-pop, and let's just keep evolving. You know, with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Bye!
Yeah, love is a high, we're feeling alive. You're loving the signs, your head on my top. I give you more, you're feeling the flow. You'll never let down up, I'm breathing the vibe.